Everyone, it's Natalie. I hope y'all had fun. It's cold down here in the basement, so I have my blanket on because I'm wearing a dress. I've been having fun going on live, guys, like meeting all these people and just being myself, talking to people, even though, like, I originally, go on live to talk about what we need to talk about, but, all these weird people come on there and we start getting into weird subjects, and it's kind of cool. Just cut loose and talk to people, I guess. But anyways, today's video is going to be about how to heal your marriage and your sex life. Because when you are in a battle, your attraction to your partner fades. And so does the bedroom activity. And when that starts to happen, you become roommates. And when you don't have that sensual connection anymore because you are just fighting all the time, trying to win the battles, nitpicking at everything, you find yourself lost when it comes to romance. And for men and women, we speak in languages that could be a little bit different, okay? Believe it or not, men are a very unique creature. You would think it would be the woman, but it's more of the man that needs that, more of the sensual touch, the cuddling, just holding each other, the sex, to feel connected to you, okay? And you would think it'd be the other way, that the woman needs that more than the man. But the truth is, men's love language is different than a woman's love language. A woman's love language is cooking and cleaning and rearing the children and running errands for your partner and being there for them and all of this. But you have to remember, your husband is out working his butt off nonstop, maybe 12, 16-hour days. And when he gets home, the last thing he wants to talk about is his mother or father, or what they've done, or whatever it is. What he wants is somebody to caress him and say, hey, you did a great job today. It's time for me and you to spend time together. And when that love language is lost in translation, into the translation of nitpicking about the in-laws and what they're doing, you are losing your marriage. You're losing it. And I know from experience that happened to me. And we were roommates for years because I was just all the time battling, trying to get him to see. My hair is just not working today, guys. It never works. That's it. Look, I already straightened it. The curls are already coming back. But when you're in a marriage, you have to meet in the middle, guys. Okay? So maybe your love language looks a little bit different than your partner's love language. But men, their love language is through a sexual connection. And when that sexual connection is gone and they're working their butt off, they come home frustrated, because they're knowing that they're not coming home to an even playing field. They're coming home to someone that is complaining about this or complaining about that, when all he wants to do is sit on the couch and hold you and love you. And I had to correct myself in that, because it got to the point where I was so angry and disgusted by what was going on that I did not want him to touch me anymore. I didn't want to have sex anymore. I didn't want to cuddle anymore. And if you knew me before all of that upset, he and I, even in the house, just holding hands all the time. If we're driving, we're always holding hands, still to this day, after 24 years. If we're in the car, we hold hands. And I think it's a good thing for your child to see too, when you guys are snuggling and cuddling and holding hands and loving each other and showing affection. And it got to a point where, because I was so angry all the time, I just wanted to be left alone because I felt like he was not protecting me. And so when you feel like you're not being protected, even though you have to understand that your partner is trying to protect you, but his parents just don't give a shit. And so he's trying to also tell you, like, no matter how much I talk to them and tell them, they really don't care. Like, their opinion is their opinion, and I can't change it, Natalie. And that's the frustrating part. And I think that's why a lot of times your partner will let you just exclude yourself from that relationship, or they exclude the whole family from that relationship with the in-laws because it's destroying their marriage. And when you are trying to fix that, see, my problem was this. Because I was saying no all the time, I forgot to say yes. I forgot how to say yes. I missed him caressing my hips when I was cooking and kissing my neck and telling me, thank you for cooking. I love you. I missed cuddling with him and watching a movie when my son was upstairs. And now that things, because I started practicing on myself, saying, he is not the problem. He did not do this. He did not want this for us. There is nothing he can do to fix this because he knows how his parents are, and he knows that he cannot change the reality of what's going on with his parents and their opinions of you, or their gaslighting, or whatever it is that they're doing to you in your marriage. And that's the other thing, is you have to pick your battles. Because you're dealing with these people, you can't let your husband come home, or your wife come home, I should say spouse, and right away start saying, your mom called, or your mom came over without even telling me this and that. Okay, there are certain things. If someone just shows up to your house, yes, it needs to be addressed, okay? I agree. Your husband needs to know. But you need to say it in a way where he understands, like, that was unnecessary. She was not invited. She just popped up. I found it crossing a boundary. And remember, I told y'all, you both need to sit in separate rooms with pieces of paper and a pen. Don't do it on a tablet. Don't do it on a phone. You need to write it down, old-fashioned, both of y'all's boundaries. You switch the boundaries, and you keep them in those nightstands. And you're going to mess up many times, because you're practicing your boundaries. And eventually you'll get to the point where you just automatically know each other's boundaries. But it's going to take a little bit of time. So when a boundary is crossed, like the mother coming over uninvited, or she's calling nonstop to check on the kids, or calling to be nosy and stuff like that, and that you find that crossing a boundary, then you write that down. And you tell your husband, hey, tell your mom to quit calling so much. Like, I am too busy to answer the phone, or whatever it is. Like, it's inappropriate for her to show up to my house. Okay? So you're going to have these lists. And when one of the boundaries is crossed that you feel, you tell your partner in a very nice way, and you're not angry about it because you know that you're practicing. Okay? Practice makes perfect. And you say, hey, babe, do you mind going upstairs real quick and rereading our boundary list? And a matter of fact, while you're doing that, I'll go ahead and reread mine that you gave me too. So when you start figuring out how to set boundaries in your house, you can fix your love life. See, the problem is when people are crossing boundaries, your love life dies because you feel disrespected. And so when a woman or a man feels disrespected, the last thing they want to do is share an intimate moment with you. But when you start understanding that there's things going on that you don't agree with, and you choose your battles, because little things, if you always nitpick at little things, when the big things happen, your partner's not going to take it as serious, and he's not going to handle it the way he needs to handle it. But when you are in a relationship and your love life dies and your husband stops wanting to have sex with you, or your wife wants to stop having sex with you, that's a problem. That means there is something going on in your marriage that somebody feels very disrespected. But if you can work through it and sit down and talk about these things and have your boundary lists, and instead of saying no, start practicing and saying yes like I did, okay? Because I got so used to saying no to things that when I did want to say yes, I still said no. Even when I had sexual needs that I wanted to be met, I still said no. And I suffered. I was lonely. And I got tired of being lonely. And the way I fixed it was by practicing, and this is crazy to say, but practicing saying yes. Even if inside I was saying no, but I really wanted to say yes, but I was too embarrassed to say yes because I had been saying no for so long, I still said yes, and magic happened. And now, when my husband comes home, I'm like, dude, Bryce needs to go to bed. Like, I can't hold this urge. Like, I really need you. I really want you. Like, I can't keep my hands off my husband. Our bedroom life is phenomenal. Like, when he's here, like, I tire him out. That's why the other day on the live, someone's like, your husband's cheating on you? Oh, honey, he can't keep up with me. That's the problem. I mean, it'll be like 2 hours, and he's like, Natalie, I can't do no more. I'm like, seriously, like, I'm done. Like, no, really. And it changed. See, and the thing is, like, when you say no so much, and then, like, you feel obligated to go have sex because you hadn't had sex, let's say, for months, your partner only lasts a few minutes, unfortunately, for a man, because he hasn't had that in a long time. But when you start having reoccurring sex, they last longer. You last longer. You experiment. My husband went out and bought me a rose. A lot of women probably know this, or men. And I accused him of buying it. I didn't know what it was because I don't really know those things, like toys. And I was like, why are you buying that? You're being perverted. No. And then I felt bad because he bought it for me, for my own satisfaction. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what a rose was because I'm not in that world. But he actually went to the store and bought that for me. And the connection now that we have, it's like I fell in love again. I just missed him. I missed my husband. I blamed him for everything, guys. And I punished him. And all he wanted was a love language with me. He told me, Natalie, my love language is being close to you. Touching you, kissing you, holding you, snuggling with you. It's not always about sex. Just because I snuggle you doesn't mean I'm trying to have sex. And I used to accuse him that. I'm like, the only reason why you're snuggling with me is because you want sex. No. He was just trying to be a sweetheart. And now that I'm, like, on my healing journey, and I look back at that, I feel so guilty that I did that to him. because he's such a good guy. To actually put up with what I put him through, punishing him like that sexually. It wasn't his fault that his parents did what they did. But I changed it. And I fell in love again. I feel like we're in high school again, and I just met him for the first time, and I can't keep my hands off of him. Because I forgave him. Because it was never his fault. Men have a different love language than women. And you know what? Even when you don't want to have sex, when you actually start, let's just say you don't want to, right? For whatever reason. Maybe you're just being stubborn or you're whatever. If you would just say yes and go, your whole attitude will change while you're in the middle of that act. Because you feel a connection, you feel good, you climax. And who doesn't want that? You know, some women say, oh, all men want is sex. But you have to understand that a man's love language is different than a woman's love language. Just because he wants to have sex with you doesn't mean that he's using you. It means that he loves you and he wants to be with you. He wants to have a connection. Now, yes, granted, there are perverted, nasty men out there that abuse women. I get it. But I'm not talking about that. We need to cut loose a little bit, quit being so uptight, and understand that everybody has a different love language. And with my husband, it is holding me while I'm watching a movie, giving me a massage, doing what he can for me around the house. I fell back in love with my husband. Because I started to appreciate him more. And I saw he was suffering and he was lonely and I was lonely and I did it to us. I admit it. I did it. I'm sorry. Let me get a paper towel. It was my fault. It was my fault. I was punishing him because I thought he was doing things that weren't protecting me. But the truth is that he couldn't even protect his own self from his family. How can he protect me when he's been treated like that his whole life? What is he going to do? He can't even do it for himself. How's he going to do it for you? You have to understand, they've normalized it, but now that you show it in their face, they're like, damn, you're right. Some of them don't see it. It takes a while. It takes a few years. But you have to stay out of the way of it. You can't punish him sexually because you're upset with his parents. He is not his mom or dad. It's not his fault. He didn't create this mess. His parents did. And once you realize that it's not your partner's fault, he can't change a narcissist just like you can't, just like nobody else can. So don't expect him to go up against his parents and try to save you from the abuse because he's being abused at the same time you're being abused. So what is he going to do? How can he do it? How can he fix it? Well, you walk away or you gray rock. And you just don't invite them in your life the way that a normal person would if they just had normal, parents. So you would share everything with a normal parent. But because we know that the narcissist takes everything out of context to make their self look better and make you look worse, we learn through the years that we cannot share our private life with them. So they do not know anything about our life. They know only surface things, like my son being in basketball, baseball, soccer, whatever it is. They know maybe that we both work. They know about my husband's job. They know we have 2 dogs. Let's see. Basically, that's it. They don't know the troubles or the heartaches or the mess ups or the good times or any of that. Because it's mainly a lot of good times. And, but we don't share it with them. Because we learned in the past, when we shared good information, she got pissed off because we were happy and she wants me and him to be miserable, so he leaves me. She twisted the conversation, went and spread rumors and lies about the things we told her, and took everything out of context like we were bad parents when we were just having fun with our kid. So my message today is fall back in love. You're not in love anymore. You're fighting a war. You're fighting small battles. You can win the war. You just got to go no contact. Gray rock, everyone's like, oh, I'm gray rock. You're not going to win if you do gray rock. If your husband wants gray rock and you want to go no contact, that's fine. And it's up to you and him if the kids get to visit or not. Me personally, no. Okay? Unless my husband is with my child. He will not go visit. They've offered to come and pick him up and fly him back to Texas and spend a whole summer with him. And he didn't even want to go. And I was like, absolutely not. Not by himself. No. He hasn't seen them in a long time. And she knows why. But my message is, stop falling out of love. Have a good sex life. It will make a world of difference in your marriage. I'm telling you. I feel, when I see my husband, I'm so frisky. I'm like, oh my God, when is my son going to bed? I mean, I attacked him last night. He gave up. He gave up. He was like, after 2 hours, he's like, Nat, it's not going to happen for you tonight, baby. I held it off too long, I'll be honest. So it didn't happen, but it's going to happen tonight. But this is the thing. This is what brings joy to your marriage. This is what connects you to your partner. Is sexual interaction. And sometimes it's not intercourse. It might just be fooling around. Maybe it's trying new things. In the morning, you might feel a little embarrassed or ashamed, because I have. But then after you've done it a few times, it's just normal, right? But you have to understand we're 2 different species and we speak 2 different love languages. And when you learn that sex in your marriage is one of the most important things to keep your marriage intact and keep anyone from cheating on each other, then your marriage is going to be one of the most wonderful, brilliant experiences in your life. Fall back in love. Peace, love, and harmony. Bye, guys.